The story of David at Ziklag is a powerful reminder that God's ways are not our ways. Imagine this. David and his men return to their home base, Ziklag, after fighting for the Philistines. They are exhausted from battle. What they find shocks them. Ziklag is destroyed, burned to the ground by the Amalekites. Their families, their wives and children are gone, taken captive.
This is a devastating blow for David and his men. They are overcome with grief and despair. They weep until they have no more tears. Some even talk about stoning David. In this moment of unimaginable loss, David's faith is put to the test. Will he give in to despair, or will he turn to God?
David's response is a lesson for us all. He doesn't allow his emotions to control him. He chooses to seek God's guidance. He cries out to God in prayer.
Should I pursue this raiding party? Will I overtake them?
God answers David's prayer with a clear message. Pursue, for you shall surely overtake them, and without fail recover all. This is a powerful reminder that in times of crisis, we must turn to God. He hears our prayers. He gives us direction when we need it most. Strengthened by God's promise, David and his men set out in pursuit of the Amalekites. They are determined to rescue their families and reclaim what was stolen. Along the way, they find an Egyptian slave who is near death. David shows compassion and kindness. He gives the man food and water and helps him recover.
This act of kindness proves to be significant. The recovered slave leads David and his men to the Amalekite camp.
This is a reminder that obedience to God often requires courage. It also requires us to be kind and compassionate, even to those who seem insignificant. David and his men launch a surprise attack on the Amalekites. They fight bravely and decisively. They rescue all the captives and recover everything that was stolen. But when they return to Ziklag, a dispute breaks out. Some of the men who were too exhausted to join the pursuit argue that the spoils of war should only be shared among those who fought.
For who will listen to you in this matter?
As his part is who goes down to the battle, so shall his part be who stays by the supplies. They shall share alike.
David listens to their concerns, but he stands firm in his conviction. He declares that everyone will share equally in the spoils of war. Section 5. Recognizing every role. The value of unity. David's decision is a radical departure from the norms of the time. It is a powerful testament to his belief in God's fairness. David understands that everyone played a role in their victory. The men who stayed behind guarded the supplies and ensured their base camp remained secure. Their contribution was just as vital as those who fought on the front lines. This story holds a profound message for us today. It reminds us that every role is important in God's eyes. Whether we are on the front lines or supporting from behind, our contributions are valued. God sees our efforts. He honors our faithfulness. Section 6. God's fairness in modern times, the workplace. This principle of fairness and shared reward applies to all areas of our lives. Consider the workplace. There are those who work on the front lines, dealing directly with customers or clients, and there are those who work behind the scenes, providing essential support and services. Both groups are essential for success. Imagine a company where only the salespeople receive bonuses, while the administrative staff, who ensure smooth operations, receive no recognition. This would breed resentment and disunity. God calls us to a higher standard. He calls us to create workplaces where everyone feels valued and appreciated for their contributions. Section 7. God's fairness in modern times, our communities. The same principle applies to our communities. We have teachers, doctors, nurses, and first responders who work tirelessly on the front lines, serving others. And we have countless others working behind the scenes, keeping our communities running smoothly. We have grocery store clerks, sanitation workers, delivery drivers, and so many more. Each of these roles is essential for a thriving community. When we recognize and appreciate the contributions of everyone, regardless of their profession or social standing, we create a more just and equitable society. This is what it means to live out God's fairness in our daily lives. Section 8. Finding strength in distress, turning to God. The story of David at Ziklag is not just a lesson in fairness and unity, it is also a powerful reminder of where our strength comes from. When David and his men faced devastation, they were tempted to despair. But David chose to turn to God. He sought God's guidance through prayer, and he was met with strength and direction. In our own lives, we will face challenges and setbacks. There will be times when we feel lost and alone, tempted to give up. But we must remember David's example. We must turn to God in prayer. He is our refuge and our strength, a very present help in times of trouble. Section 9. The Blessings of Obedience. God's Ultimate Reward. When David obeyed God's command to pursue the Amalekites, he was blessed with victory. He recovered everything that was stolen, and his family was reunited. This is a reminder that obedience to God brings blessings. When we trust in God's plan and follow His guidance, we open ourselves to His blessings. These blessings may not always come in the form of material wealth or worldly success. They may come in the form of peace, joy, strength, or wisdom, but we can be certain that God honors our obedience. He rewards our faithfulness. Section 10. David's Triumph, our inspiration, embracing God's ways. David's triumph at Ziklag teaches us that God's ways are not the world's ways. In the world, we often see those in positions of power hoarding resources and rewarding only a select few. But God calls us to a higher standard. He calls us to be fair, to be just, to be compassionate. The story of David at Ziklag reminds us that God sees and values the contributions of every single person. He calls us to recognize and celebrate the unique gifts and talents of each individual. When we embrace God's ways, we create a more just and equitable world for all. Section 11. A call to unity and faith, living out God's plan. As we navigate the complexities of life, let us remember the lessons learned from David's experience. Let us be people of prayer, seeking God's guidance in all that we do. Let us be people of action, courageously stepping out in faith, knowing that God is with us every step of the way. Let us be a people of unity, recognizing and valuing the contributions of every individual. And finally, let us be people of faith, trusting in God's plan even when we don't understand it, knowing that He is working all things together for our good. Let us go forward, united in faith, living out God's plan for our lives, and making a difference in the world.